Good afternoon, guys. It's working, bringing you a quick update on Dash. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Dash to the US dollar. This is the 4-hour chart on Bitfinex, guys. Or excuse me, this is the one-day chart on Bitfinex. And looking at the bigger picture, guys, Dash is operating within this massive, well, it looks like a massive descending wedge here. This falling wedge, that is a very bullish pattern if that in fact ends up playing out. Looking back here, we can see that price just bounced off. If I kind of zoom in, we can see that price just bounced off a very relative demand zone between about 138 and 130. That was established all the way back in August of 2017. So that's almost a year old. It's taken that long for price to come back and correct this far. We can see it did a double bottom here, came back, tested it, back up, came back, double bottom, tested it, and impulsed right up. What's catching my eye is the amount of volume that we have here, guys. We're seeing volume that we haven't seen since September on Dash. And just to kind of prove that to you, if we come in here and we look at Dash's volume, just for let's see, here we go. Just for today, we're sitting at about 210 million, but for the last 2 days, we were at 355 million and 305 million. 305 million. Now that doesn't sound like a lot in relative to Bitcoin, but in relative to Dash, if we start looking at the last few, the last few weeks, we're at 120 million, 100 million, 200 million, but never above three. The only one day were we above 300 million, and that was on July 30th. Before that, it was all the way until before that we hadn't seen back-to-back days above, and that was only one day, I should say. We haven't seen back-to-back days above 300 million since right here. Actually, we're not even there, guys. We're looking all the way until right here. We saw 460. This is the first time it broke above 300 million. It was 460, and even then it wasn't a back-to-back. Here we go. So 300 million and 800 million, 500 million. These were the kind of numbers we were doing back in December. We haven't seen back-to-back numbers above 300 million since December, guys. So clearly there is something going on with Dash. Now, I don't know if that is just pure manipulation. It could be, or if that's actually going to be the start of a sustainable bull run. What I don't like is the fact that we had a strong resistance. We ran up into this supply zone between 200 and 208, bounced off it and immediately halted. Also was the top of this descending wedge here, the resistance line of this descending wedge, so we haven't broken out of that yet. That leads me to believe that we might come back down and once again have one more leg down to test the bottom of this wedge here and then impulse up, because we're not quite at the apex of the wedge, and usually it breaks out at the apex. Doesn't mean it has to, just means I'm being very, very cautious, guys. I'm cautiously optimistic that this was just manipulation to start off with, trapping people high, and then price just ends up falling right back down. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying be very, very careful. So if price does end up correcting, what are some signs that say it might? Well, if I come over here and I look at my daily histogram, or daily MACD, I should say, and look at the histogram, we can see from this point to this point, clearly it was a lower high. If we look at the histogram, what do we got? From this point, from the same point to the same point, we have a higher high. That is hidden bearish divergence, guys, because this is clearly a downtrend in price. So that anytime you're in a downtrend, if you're looking for hidden divergence, you look to the upside, and once you get that, that is hidden bearish divergence, guys. And if you don't know, I know some people ask me when I talk about this, what's the difference between hidden divergence and regular divergence? You'll have to look it up. But for now, you have to trust me. That is a bearish indication and indicating a possible drop in price. Now, we're not seeing it so much with the RSI. So again, whether we're going to see it or not is yet to be seen, but it is something to certainly be to be aware of, that we may see price come back down and test a lower low. Now, is it going to? Or is it just going to have a nice healthy correction? Possible healthy correction. So this is what I'm going to be looking for. If we go swing low to swing high of this latest microstructure, clearly this would be the start of our wave one. Breaking out for a wave one. So if this is the top, we'd be coming back down for a wave two. What am I going to consider a healthy correction? Well, we know the majority of wave twos end up between the 50 and the between the 50 and the 618 fib. So that's going to be right in here. That's between about 170 and 160. So if you were going to buy, if you wanted to play the retrace, I'd be stacking buy orders between 170 and 160, hoping for a major bounce, because we know wave three is often the longest and the strongest, and that's the wave that most traders are going to play. So if you wanted to buy, it makes sense, stack orders between 160 and 170. However, what I would be very careful of, knowing that if it does break below the 618 fib, if it does drop below 160, there's a very good chance it's going to drop back into this demand zone between 130 and 138. So I'd have very tight stops at about 155, somewhere thereabouts. And there's also a good chance that if it doesn't break out of this wedge, we could be coming down and testing the bottom of this wedge again. Price has been coming up and down, testing the top and the bottom of this wedge the entire time. Tested the bottom, tested the top. Might make sense to come back down, test the bottom one more time, and then impulse right back up. So be very, very careful, guys. There's not a lot of support. If price breaks below 130, there's not a lot of support between 130 and 95, and it could be a quick drop down to 95 if 130 does break. So to the upside, what I'm wanting to see for the bullish scenario to play out, I need to see price break out of this falling wedge. First and foremost, it's got to break out of the falling wedge. Even if it moves sideways, that's going to be extremely bullish. I'll take consolidation all day long. So let's wait and see if it breaks out of this wedge. And then the second thing, I need to see it break above this 200 to 208 supply zone, this resistance area here. If it breaks above 208, there's hardly any resistance between 208 and 245. So I do believe if it breaks above 208, it could be a very quick rise up to 245, guys. But I'd be very hesitant to put any buy orders right now until I get confirmation of which direction price is going to go. The risk reward is just not there at the moment. So anyway, guys, looking at our looking at our moving averages, we can see that we're up on the outer Bollinger Bands here. This is on the daily, again suggesting a possible pullback in the near future. We got a rejection off the 55-day EMA. I'd like to see, if we do get a pullback, I'd like to see us hold above the 21-day EMA at least. If we can break up above the 55-day EMA, which also is coinciding right now with the 50-day moving average, if we can get above both of those, that's going to be a very, very bullish indication. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section beloll. And as always, guys, if I'd appreciate it if you would just smash that upvote or that like button. Just lets me know that you want me to continue to make these videos. And until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.